Thank you all. Appreciate it. Can everyone hear me okay? All good? Cool. And if you guys have any questions during this chat, by all means, please ask away. You don't have to wait till the end. That can really be fun. And we can also expand on some of these ideas. So I'm going to do my best to not get too esoteric today and to not overtalk. And I'm going to give you practical techniques that come from this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. A lot of people have heard of it. A lot of people have read it, but they don't actually apply these very specific, easy techniques. And the techniques in this book, it parallels to yoga. It parallels to doing mantras. And I can't talk about programming the subconscious mind without talking about lucid dreaming, because lucid dreaming goes hand in hand with programming the subconscious mind. So before I get into all about programming the subconscious mind through a technique called autosuggestion, I'm going to talk about lucid dreaming. But just really quick, autosuggestion basically means affirmations or mantras. I like to say autosuggestion, affirmations, and mantras, they're all synonyms. They mean practically the same thing. Autosuggestion is basically, it's called that because you're suggesting things to your subconscious mind, so you start actually legit believing what you're telling yourself. So before I get into autosuggestion, let's talk about lucid dreaming really quick. So lucid dreaming is, I think you guys all probably know this, that it means you're having a dream and you're aware that it's a dream. So a non-lucid dream is when someone has a dream and they have no idea they're dreaming. That's pretty typical. If I don't meditate, or I'm sorry, if I don't, oh, by the way, I'm going to really avoid using the term meditation today because I want to be very specific with what I'm talking about. So if I don't concentrate with my eyes closed before going to bed, a lot of times I'm not lucid in my dreams. I'm just a dream victim, if you will. And that means the dream is like controlling me. My subconscious mind has taken over. But the moment that you become lucid in your dreams, you get to start controlling the dream. And I don't think the word controlling is a bad word, by the way. So lucid dreaming is a side effect of concentration. That's what it is. When you begin to concentrate with your eyes closed, you just naturally start becoming lucid at night. So I'd like to say, I'm going to use the word meditation for a minute. People say they meditate often. If they're not going lucid in their dreams, they're not getting very much out of their meditation practice. When you start getting a lot out of your meditation practice, you will be aware that you're dreaming. So before you can even go lucid at night, you have to have good dream recollection. And you receive good dream recollection by basically, for beginners and even experts, writing your dreams down first thing in the morning. I can't express how powerful and how important that is. So if you don't remember any of your dreams, but maybe you remember just a little detail at the end, write that down in the morning. And the next day, and if you write down your dream the next day, you'll remember a little more. And if you write down your dreams the next day, you'll remember a little more. If you are consistent with writing your dreams down in the morning, you'll find that you're going to be remembering more and more and more and more until a couple of weeks, you're going to be remembering pages of detail. So it's also really important to write your day down before you go to sleep, your waking life. It took me forever to realize how important this is and why this is important. When you write your day down before you go to bed, first of all, you're working on your visualization and you're working on your memory and you're processing your day before you go to sleep. Now, if you just watch some TV and knock out, you're probably going to dream of some garbage that your brain is defragging, like the stuff you just watched on TV, and your brain is going to process the day that you just had. So I can't possibly recommend how important it is to write your day down, understand what just happened, and then go to sleep so you can dream about other things. So day journals in the morning, and I'm sorry, write your dreams down in the morning and write your day down at night. Another thing to become lucid is, you guys are
Erik,
probably, yeah.
how important is it the actual writing process or typing process or speaking process if you want to like record your dreams or your day? How much does it matter if you're doing like a handwritten thing?
I feel like writing is a little better for the visual mind because it takes longer and there's more concentration involved in writing. Now you can record your day and your dreams with a voice recorder. That's better than not doing it. I'll admit that sometimes I don't feel like writing my day down, so I'll literally sit up in bed before I go to sleep and just recall my day. I'll just think about it from morning to night and then go to sleep. That's better than not doing anything at all. But as human beings, writing is such a massive part of human evolution. And you could type it, but there is something really profound about writing analog, writing a pen and having an actual book and pen. There's something really special about that. So I would say that would be the most potent. Next would be probably typing, and then maybe voice recording, and then would be just thinking about it. So whatever you can do. Yeah. Someone, okay. So yeah, but that's a great question though. So, you know, all these things I'm talking about, you got to play with it, see what works for you. You know, it all depends how much time you have, what you're willing to do, how much effort you're willing to put into this, and so on. So, so yeah, so writing things down, super important. And the next aspect of recalling your dreams is a little something called reality checks. If you just Google lucid dreaming, you're going to see these things that I'm talking about. And these things I'm talking about are written in every westernized lucid dreaming book. So a reality check is when you just ask yourself the magical question all day, every day, am I dreaming? And then you just keep asking yourself that. Maybe set your alarm to go off every hour. And every time your alarm goes off, say, am I dreaming? But don't just mindlessly say it, actually check in. And it sounds silly, right? Of course I'm not dreaming. But the idea is that you ask yourself that so often, it's programming your subconscious mind, which we'll get into later. And then eventually you ask yourself that while you're dreaming. You'll be non-lucid. And because you're so used to asking yourself, am I dreaming? In the middle of a dream, you'll say, am I dreaming? Oh my God, I am. And in that moment, you become lucid and the journey begins. You begin to wake up while you're asleep. And that's a complete paradox. I mean, think about this, you know, the conscious movement, the spiritual movement. There's this whole, the phrase of saying, how awake are you? Oh, I'm awake. The Buddha said, I'm not enlightened, I'm awake. So when we wake up in our dreams, we're waking up while we're sleeping. And ironically, another way to wake up consciously is actually to wake up early in the morning at like 4 a.m. and do some concentration techniques, but we can talk more about that later. So, okay, so dream recollection, really important for lucid dreaming. Next, for lucid dreaming, our second pillar. Our first pillar was writing things down and dream recollection. Second pillar is concentration. And concentration and meditation are actually very different things. Meditation proper, so meditation in the East, meditation in the yogic system, dhyana, meditation is called dhyana in the yoga system, and it actually means letting go. It doesn't mean anything else. It means letting go. So in this system called the 8 limbs of yoga, they're kind of like 8 steps, and they sort of build on each other. The 8th limb of yoga is samadhi. The 7th limb of yoga is meditation. And you have these 6 limbs of yoga before you reach meditation that prepare the body for meditation proper. So meditation proper, as I said, it means letting go. It also means that you can focus on one thing without letting your mind wander. I mean, so if you think of, you know, a lotus flower or a triangle, how long can you think of that image until another thought comes in your head? 5, 10 seconds. So if you can have one thought without letting your mind wander, that could take decades or lifetimes to achieve, depending on how much effort you put into it, or if that's something you even care about. But to some degree, I think it's good that we work on our concentration. So okay, so you have these 6 limbs of yoga that prepare the body for meditation. I'm just going to go over limbs 3, 4, 5, and 6. So limb 3 is asanas, or stretching or exercise. Stretching and exercise is only an 1/8 of yoga. It's a very small aspect of yoga. So the 4th limb of yoga is pranayama, or breathwork. Breathwork is so important. I'll probably talk about it more during this talk. Breathwork is how we get rid of our traumas, and it also increases our concentration and our memory. And it releases a kundalini energy, or the Holy Spirit. That's why I'm a I'm a breathwork teacher, because I found it so profound for myself and everyone I facilitate this to. So, so limb 5 in the yoga system, it's withdrawal of the senses. It means closing your eyes and going internal. Limb 6, now this is where we get fun. Limb 6, that's concentration. So when we close our eyes and we work on concentration, technically that's not meditating. Technically that's yoga limbs 5 and 6. We are preparing our body for meditation proper, if that's your thing. But I'm not going to get too esoteric. I just wanted you guys to understand that concentration is a precursor to meditation proper in this yoga system. So there's a few types of ways we can concentrate with our eyes closed. One of those ways is just doing mantras, and that's autosuggestion. Mantras alone will make you lucid at night. But I have to tell you that if you do mantras for an hour at noon, it's completely different than doing mantras at 4 in the morning. So what I have found out, and what a lot of people discover through their own inner work and their own personal discovery, is that when we work on concentration while we're tired, our subconscious mind is more impressionable. In other words, you can really feel the fruits of your meditation working if you do it right before bed and early in the morning. And we'll get more into that in a little bit. I just wanted to kind of tell you guys the difference between concentration and meditation proper. The word meditation in the West, I like to say it's meaningless. People say when they close their eyes, oh, I'm doing my meditation practice. Well, I like the term meditation practice because it sort of insinuates we're working towards meditation rather than we're actually doing it. But again, if you Google the word meditation, you see words like contemplation, pondering, thinking, dreaming, channeling. None of those words actually mean meditation. But if you Google meditation in the East, you get a better idea of what that word actually originally meant. So moving on. So that's the second pillar of lucid dreaming. The third pillar of lucid dreaming is visualization or wake-induced lucid dream. So wake-induced lucid dreams is a little more advanced, but I have to tell you what it is. Well, we're going to go over the 4 kinds of lucid dreaming. The first type of lucid dreaming is a dream-induced lucid dream. That's when you have a lucid dream at night while you're doing your 8-hour sleep. The second kind of lucid dreaming is called a wake-induced lucid dream. That's what psychics do. So if I was to sit here with my eyes closed and I start having a dream while I'm awake, that's called a wake-induced lucid dream. Now and they also can be called WILDs or wilds, so because they're wild. So a wake-induced lucid dream, how it works is whatever you're visualizing right before you go into a lucid dream, that's what you'll dream about. So if you're able to, let's say for example, if I'm visualizing the beach and I'm visualizing myself on the beach and I fall asleep while concentrating on the beach, I'll dream about the beach. That's how it works. And we can also do that at night, and I'll talk about that in a second. So that's called a wake-induced lucid dream. Also, we have a term that I coined because no one else had done it, a breath-induced lucid dream, a BILD. Now, a lot of people don't know how to describe this. Some people who have done breath work, I've heard them say, oh, you can release DMT while you're breathing. Well, DMT is only one of the many chemicals that we release when we breathe. There's a handful of other spirit molecules besides DMT. So I like to call that a breath-induced lucid dream. Basically, if you breathe as deep as you can for an hour and a half and you release trauma and you cry and you go through it, at the end of the breathwork session, you'll start having a full-blown lucid dream, or if not a lucid dream, just a regular dream. But it's a breath-induced dream at worst. So, and then you also have what I call the plant-induced lucid dream, right? This is from taking ayahuasca or a high dose of mushrooms or DMT. You're having a psychedelic plant-induced lucid dream. You're hallucinating just like you do every night. But I'll tell you this, human DMT is of higher vibration than plant DMT. Plant DMT, I like to say, or a plant-induced lucid dream, it's kind of like training wheels. It's like practice of using our consciousness and realizing whatever we think, the plant DMT kind of goes where our thoughts go. And they're training wheels of like helping us understand how our consciousness works. And the more we meditate and the more we breathe, we can actually navigate our consciousness with tons of DMT without plants. But I want to give you guys a little secret here. You can actually get higher off of, without drugs than with drugs. And we've heard that for a long time, but it's like, you can't experience that until you do tons of breath work. And once you're really sober and you do tons of breath work, you're like, oh shit, I am higher without drugs. And then that's why you've probably heard of like rumors or legends of monks doing LSD and feeling nothing, and it like brings their vibration down. They're just kind of like, hey, stupid, you know. So but without the breath work, it's really hard to reach those states of consciousness. It's really hard to get super high. If I don't breathe for a few days, I actually start feeling very low, and then if I do a lot of breath work, I'm like, hey, all right, I'm feeling great again, and everything makes sense. So anyway, so those are 4 types of lucid dreaming: dream-induced lucid dream, wake-induced lucid dream, breath-induced lucid dream, plant-induced lucid dream. So dream incubation. So, okay, I just want to go over the pillars we just went over. So pillar 1, dream recollection. Pillar 2, concentration. Pillar 3, visualization, wake-induced lucid dream. Pillar 4 is dream incubation. This goes hand in hand with visualization. So there are many ways to incubate the dream of your choice, and this is going to all feed into autosuggestion. So there's a few ways to achieve this. Every night before you go to bed, if you visualize yourself, let's say, making $50,000 a month, and you're visualizing yourself for 30 minutes with this money, eventually you'll dream about what you're visualizing before you go to bed. The key to lucidity is having a good nighttime practice and having a good morning practice. So there's also this technique that's, you got to get used to it. Every lucid dreaming book talks about this technique called awake back to bed technique. So awake back to bed technique is, well, first of all, we get about 3 to 5 big REM cycles at night. Your biggest REM cycle is, or your most amount of DMT that you release when you're dreaming at night is that last REM cycle right before you wake up. That's why usually when you wake up from a good night's sleep, you remember clearly that last dream. So awake back to bed technique is when you wake up about 2 hours earlier than you normally do, so you don't catch that last REM cycle, and then you visualize the dream of your choice for about, I would do it for about 30 minutes, and then go back to sleep while you're continuously visualizing the dream of your choice. Then you will dream about what you want because your body needs that last REM cycle or that last DMT release to be fully rested. So wake back to bed technique. It's also, and if you really want to push it far, and I've done this and it's pretty cool, Stephen LaBerge, who was one of the lucid dreaming experts of the West, he calls this the 2-2-2 method. So hear me out. This is when you wake up 2 hours earlier than you normally do, you meditate for 2 hours, and then you take a 2-hour nap. It's so powerful. Now you could, if that's too much, you could do it 1 hour. You could wake up 1 hour early, meditate for an hour, and then take an hour nap. But research has shown that when you stay up a little longer than 1 hour, you stay up 2 hours, your lucid dreams are more likely to happen. So the more you push it, the more likely you are to go lucid. But again, if you don't succeed the first time, so if you try the 2-2-2 method, you wake up, you meditate for 2 hours, you go back to sleep, and you're not able to dream what you want to dream about, that's okay. You got to keep practicing, and eventually you'll catch on to it, because the more you concentrate the mind, the easier it gets to fall asleep consciously. And that's tough to fall asleep consciously. I like to say that's monk level shit. You know, that's hard to achieve, but we just keep working towards it. And I just want to say, I just got to tell you guys, there's nowhere to get. If you're chasing enlightenment, you're actually like missing the point of enlightenment, because the whole idea of enlightenment is to be here now. So, but we are moving forward in this seemingly linear thing. Life seems linear. It sure does. And that's the beauty of it, but it's not. So, but enjoy the ride. and wherever you're at is perfect. And if you're into working on concentration, just keep going. And if you have a hard time with concentration, that's when you want to start doing a ton of breath work, because then concentration becomes a lot easier. So, and I'm not going to tell you personal stories today. Maybe for my next talk, we'll talk about cool personal stories. But today I just want to give you guys techniques. So, lucidity. So pillar 5 is lucidity. Once you work on concentration enough, as I said before, you just naturally become lucid in your dreams. And once you're lucid in your dreams, that's when the fun really begins. And you can, when you're lucid, yes, you can work on concentration while you're sleeping, but you can also ask God, ask spirit, ask your subconscious mind to show you instructions on how to achieve the life of your desire. Maybe you're just sad and you want to be happier, and like, God, what do I need to be happy? And he'll show you, oh, you need to fast on water. Oh, you need to breathe. And these type of things will come into your subconscious mind. So check it out. So infinite intelligence, some people call it God or source or whatever, but infinite intelligence communicates to your subconscious mind. And then your subconscious mind communicates to your conscious mind. So when you're having a non-lucid dream, your subconscious mind is just, it's taken over. Your subconscious mind is just, it's just taking you for a ride, and you're not even aware that you're dreaming. But when you become lucid, your conscious mind and your subconscious mind actually start blending, and they're not like doing this tug of war anything anymore. They're actually like together, and they're working together. Yoga means union. It means union with spirit and ego. Ego can be looked at as the conscious mind, and spirit can be looked at as the subconscious mind. That's why lucid dreaming is a side effect of doing yoga proper, because your subconscious mind and your conscious mind actually start coming together. It's really cool journey. And just to let you guys know, I first started having my first lucid dreams when I was dealing with cancer 10 years ago, and I wasn't even working on concentration. I had my first lucid dreams in my adult life just by dream journaling and a little bit of reality checks. And that was enough to trigger lucid dreams when I was going through chemo. And I thought the chemo was going to like destroy me. And I was like, I didn't want to do it. And I was like, this is going to mess me up spiritually. And when I came out of my first lucid dream, I realized that I was going to be okay, that spiritually, I'm going to be fine. Physically, I'm going to be fine. And I mean, there is nothing like coming out of a lucid dream. It's exhilarating. You're just like, wow, that was cool. I think it's more blissful than anything. I think because it's your own drug, it's your own DMT, it's your own hallucinations that are just so fun to ride. So anyway, that was the 5 pillars of lucid dreaming. So now we're going to get into autosuggestion, and this is going to make way more sense now that I gave you like a nice sort of fundamental understanding of lucidity. Sweet, we've already been talking for 30 minutes, so I'm doing great. All right. So autosuggestion is when you consciously communicate your conscious mind with your subconscious mind. So nature has built man so he may control what enters his subconscious. If man does not exercise control, he may end up poor or worse, experiencing great suffering. So like I said, our subconscious mind pushes us around unless we take control of it. And, you know, I like to say we shouldn't try to control other people. If there's one thing to control, it's yourself. And if you can control yourself, your emotions, then you can sort of not control everything else, and everything, it becomes easier to manifest the life of your desire. A lot of spiritual philosophies are just big old paradoxes. They're dichotomies. So anyway, okay, so with autosuggestion is repeating what you want, as I said, to control your subconscious mind. So I'm going to give you guys some examples. So let's say I want to make 50, I mean, this is actually kind of realistic. Let's say I want to make $50,000 a month selling coconuts. So what I can do, and what Think and Grow Rich asks us to do, is to create a purpose statement. A purpose statement is basically, it's going to say how much money you want to make and how you want to achieve that money. So my purpose statement could be in present tense with gratitude. I receive $50,000 a month selling coconuts at 14 different farmers markets. I receive $50,000 selling coconuts at 14 different farmers markets. I receive $50,000 by selling coconuts at farmers markets. And if that's my purpose statement, and I repeat that for at least 30 minutes before I go to bed, and at least 30 minutes when I wake up in the morning, then I am suggesting to my subconscious mind what I want. Now, unemotional words get no results. If I just sit there and repeat, I make $50,000 selling coconuts, I make $50,000 selling coconuts, without emotion, nothing happens. But no worries. If you, with enough repetition, you eventually start believing what you're suggesting to yourself. That's why repetition is key to brainwashing yourself. And I mean brainwashing in the most positive perspective possible. So that's what we're doing. We're programming our subconscious mind with repetition. And Napoleon Hill, in this book, Think and Grow Rich, he highly recommends that we use visualization and autosuggestion. Now, I'm going to tell you guys right now, depending on your state of consciousness, depending on how good you're able to concentrate, it can be really difficult to repeat a phrase while you're visualizing. So if that's too hard, do one thing at a time. Take 15 minutes to visualize who you would like to be, and then take 15 minutes to repeat your purpose statement. If you can do both at the same time, it's incredible. Now, I will tell you guys one story. I really want to avoid my personal experiences, but here we go. So before I even got my hands on this book, this was about 2 years ago. I went on a jog, breathing and jogging, and I went to the top of my hill. I think I heard this technique from Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jim Carrey. They both did this technique. So I went on this jog, went to the top of the hill. I kept breathing and doing breath work until I started having a psychedelic experience. And then I started repeating to myself, I make $15,000 a month. I make $15,000 a month. I had a very specific number. I didn't quite know how I was going to make it. And I thought it was going to be through teaching and doing breathwork and stuff. So 3 days later, one of my best friends says, "Hey, can I rent out your house for $15,000 a month?" And I was like, "That's the exact number I asked for." And so I got that for a little bit. And that's when I went to Idaho for about a year and kicked it there. And I was able to do that because I asked God, I visualized myself receiving that money while doing breath work. And doing deep breathing is also key to programming your subconscious mind. Again, if you have a hard time programming your subconscious mind, just get into breath work. And you don't even have to do autosuggestion while you're doing breath work. You can actually just do breath work first and then do your autosuggestion later. If you want, you can blend the two, but it's a little more advanced. So in the beginning, you just want to do deep breathing to sort of release a lot of stuck emotions. So concentrating becomes a lot easier. Because I've had issues concentrating my whole life. I didn't have ADD. I just developed really bad, lazy habits as a youth. And it wasn't until my 30s that I was like, oh, okay, I need to work on my concentration a little bit. And so with learning breath work and autosuggestion, I started working on these things and I started seeing some really cool results. And as beautiful as this stuff is, and I'm able to teach it, I still have a long way to go. I'm excited to watch things unfold. So I digress. Let's keep rolling. So again, if you use autosuggestion without any emotion, you'll get no results. So just keep repeating and you'll get results. Again, don't be discouraged if autosuggestion doesn't work in the beginning. Autosuggestion depends on your capacity to concentrate. And when you keep working on your concentration and you keep working on your purpose or your manifestation, eventually what you want will become a burning desire. In other words, with repetition, with constantly using autosuggestion, you're gonna seriously have a burning desire for what you want. And when you have that burning desire, it's gonna make it a lot easier to come in. Now, of course, manifesting what you want is all about action. I'm not gonna sit here and say that you can just ask for $15,000 a month, it's gonna show up in your lap. You know, you actually have to work for it. So the idea of autosuggestion is not only do you get instructions for what you need to do to achieve your goal, but it makes it easier to do the action. That's the idea, is that we want the action to be effortless. So we have to put in effort in programming our subconscious mind. So, you know, I mentioned to you guys earlier that when you work on concentration, when you do your autosuggestion practice, it's really important to do it right before bed. Sit up in bed. Don't do it laying down. Sit up in bed so you don't pass out for about 30 minutes, and then do it first thing in the morning. Now, here's a pro tip. If you really want to get this puppy rolling, really want autosuggestion to work, this takes a lot of effort. What you can do that 2-2-2 method. So you can wake up about 4 in the morning, or when you're really tired. It doesn't have to be exactly 2 hours earlier than you normally wake up. It could be 3 hours earlier, but wake up around 4 or 5 a.m. and repeat what you want for about an hour, and then go back to sleep. That is ridiculously powerful to work on concentration, to do your mantras. Now, I just want to sort of go on a little side note right here. If you don't really want, if you're not trying to manifest the life of your desire, and you just want to do a spiritual practice, if you just want to feel close to God, and let's say you like to chant Om Namah Shivaya, or if you're connected to Jesus and you like to chant Om Yahshua, which I really like, you could do that at 4 in the morning and then go back to sleep. And again, your spiritual practice will be significantly stronger. So, so spiritual mantras, Sanskrit mantras, are really great for spiritual growth. But if you want to manifest very specific things, and that's where you're at in life, and that's where I'm at in life, then use some English mantras or autosuggestion. So, okay, so the subconscious mind takes orders in a spirit of absolute faith, although these orders must be presented over and over again. I'm just saying, in other words, what I've been saying the whole time. The more emotion behind your autosuggestion practice, the better it's going to work. And of course, the more repetition that you put towards your goal, the faster it's going to come into your life. So you have to trick your subconscious mind into believing that you are already in possession of the money desired. Now, I'm sure all y'all are very familiar with that, because so many new age, excuse my French, so many new age spiritual philosophies talk about you have to think like you already have it. Well, there's a lot of truth to that, because if you think like, I want this, you're going to keep in the state of wanting it. I'm going to get it. Well, you're going to stay in that state. But if you feel like you already have it, and you're repeating for 30 minutes that you already have it, before you know it, you have it. And just, you got to persevere. You have to keep going. If you don't get what you want immediately, have patience. But again, you're tricking your subconscious mind to believing that you already have it by repetition. So also, when you are continuously doing an autosuggestion practice, what's going to happen is that you're going to leave it to your imagination to give you the desired results. So there's 2 aspects of programming your subconscious mind. The first aspect of programming your subconscious mind is that you automatically, psychically start doing what you need to do to achieve the desired results. For some reason, you just know that you have to go get some coffee at this coffee shop, and then all of a sudden there's an investor there, and you're like, whoa, I knew I was supposed to go here. That's crazy. But there's another aspect of programming your subconscious mind. It's that things are magnetically and magically attracted to you, and there's no logic why it happens. It just happens. So it's really the chicken or the egg story. It's like, was that already coming into my life and I thought I manifested it? Or did I manifest it and it came into my life? It's one and the same. I personally like to call this the illusion of free will. Nonetheless, we should embrace free will, because if anything, we have limited free will, and we have to really exercise our free will to make the life of our choice. So So again, see yourself in possession of your desire when you work on autosuggestion. When you work on visualizing the life of your choice, when you work on like thinking of like, okay, I have my $50,000, I'm selling coconuts. Don't just think of yourself like having the money. You also have to visualize yourself giving services rendered. So in other words, you have to visualize yourself doing the service. Visualize yourself selling the coconuts. Visualize yourself on the computer receiving the money. Don't just think of yourself like having the money, but again, visualize yourself doing the work, because life takes work. Even spiritual practice takes work. Happiness takes work. And I should know because I'm pretty lazy. And when I really got lazy, that's when I got cancer and got miserable. So as I've come, done a 180, I've realized, okay, I got to work on my breath, got to work on the ice bath, got to work on my mind by repetition. So here are 3 steps to manifesting your desire. So first of all, when it comes to autosuggestion, write down your purpose statement. I already gave you the example of asking for how much money you want and how you're going to make it. And it's really important to throw in the gratitude, throw in I'm grateful. I think if at the beginning of your purpose statement, start it with I'm grateful. Because if you're not grateful, it's going to be a lot harder to manifest things. And if you're not grateful, but you keep telling yourself you're grateful, eventually you'll be grateful. So again, I'll tell you guys the example again. I am grateful I receive $50,000 a month by selling coconuts at the farmers markets, and just repeat that. But again, write it down. So then, as I mentioned before, repeat your purpose statement for 30 minutes before you go to bed and 30 minutes when you wake up in the morning. And then the third step to manifesting your desire, that purpose statement that you wrote down, hang it up on your wall. So that way you get to look at it throughout your day. I mean, that way you're really getting it at night and you're really getting it in the morning, and then you get to see it throughout the day. But I'm going to tell you guys again, your subconscious mind is super impressionable when you're tired. Ironically, that's the hardest time to work on concentration, because when I'm tired, I want to pass out. I want to watch X-Men and I want to just like hit the hay. But what would probably be good for me is to, after X-Men, then go work on my concentration and then go to sleep. And it's so cool and it's so interesting that when you start working on autosuggestion, that lucid dreaming is a side effect of autosuggestion. And it's really cool when you start lucid dreaming about your desired result. I'm going to tell you guys, this is one of my issues. And so I don't know if y'all are going to come across this, but one of my issues is that I'll do some work towards lucid dreaming. I'll do my autosuggestion before going to sleep. I'll have a dream about that I have my life desired. Hey, my house is paid off and I'm feeling really happy. And I have that dream. I'm like, holy shit, I'm dreaming about my desire. And then next day I'm like, well, that was cool. I guess I'm done. And then I kind of like don't do my practice so much. So that's bad habit. The best thing you can do is to be consistent. Do it again the next night. And then the next dream is going to be more powerful and you'll get more details and more results. And do it again, because consistency is key. Again, I should know because I have lacked consistency most of my life. And now coming around, I'm realizing consistency is the key to happiness and having your desired life. So okay, right. So check this out. So skepticism is a regular characteristic of all human beings, but with enough repetition, skepticism is transformed into absolute faith. So in other words, if you begin your autosuggestion journey, you might be skeptical in the beginning. I know I can get skeptical, like, oh God, is this really going to happen? Am I really going to make that kind of money? Oh, geez, And then with enough repetition, I'm not skeptical anymore. I really start believing it. And the more I believe it, the more things come into my life that help me achieve my goal. So can't stress it enough. With enough repetition, skepticism is transformed into absolute faith. So many philosophers had made the statement that man is the master of their earthly destiny. This can be true by consciously influencing his subconscious mind. So again, I'm just giving you different words for the same thing I've been saying for the past 45 minutes. Repetition is key to steering the ship. I mean, I felt like it took me a really long time to really get mantras and really get autosuggestion, but that's how we steer the ship, and the ship being our life, our ego. We steer the ship by repetition. It's so cool. I love the metaphor that we're a ship at sea and we can go anywhere we want with repetition. So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed all that. Does anybody have any questions? Anything they want to share? I mean, I'm all ears. If not, all good. Yeah. What's up, homies?
What's up? That was great, Erik. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Did that all make sense? Was I able to
Yeah.
give you it in a grounded perspective?
In only the way that Erik Casano can give it. Very authentic. Really appreciate it. When you do these mantras, are you doing them in your head? Are you saying them out loud? Are you listening to a meditation as you do it? Are you looking in a mirror? Like what are you doing, and how have you found like stacking these different modalities help or not?
That's a great question. So Napoleon Hill recommends actually saying it out loud for 15 minutes. I find that when you say things out loud, it's magic. And it's actually, I can keep my concentration better when I say it out loud. Personally, I tend to say it in my head. And if I'm doing autosuggestion in my head and my mind wanders, which is totally normal, then I have to come back to it. But if I'm saying it out loud, I can actually focus more. So with you asking me that question, I think you're reminding me how important it is to say it out loud. And it's not cheesy either. I have to give you guys just one quick little story. I was in Hawaii a few years ago in Maui, and I went to the EO Valley, and I went swimming and doing breath work in the water. I came out of the water and I started breathing really heavy, and then the land actually like came up through my base, and it went up the energy of the land went up into my body, and then the land told me, you have to pray out loud. And I was like, what? It was like, yes, pray out loud. I was like, oh, okay. And then I started, I was going through a forgiveness ceremony, and I was like, I forgive you so-and-so, I forgive you so-and-so. And then 2 days later, so-and-so called me up and said, hey, I'm so sorry I treated you bad. And I was like, wow. And then come to find that the indigenous in Maui were all about praying out loud. So sorry, I digressed a little bit, but my point being is that speaking things into existence with a lot of emotion could potentially be just as powerful, if not more powerful, than just saying it in your mind. So thank you for that. That was a great question.
Absolutely. And then the other caveat was like writing it down consistently. I know some people like write that their intention like hundreds of times.
Yep.
Is that obviously these are levels of intense action to be taken. But do you have any feedback on like writing it down as well?
Totally. I think that's really potent and really powerful. Britt, my business partner, she had done some ritual where she wrote down her desire like 50 times a day for like 5 days, and it manifested like that. So I think that writing things down can, like, it feels like, unfortunately, school programmed me with that. That's like punish work. Like, I will not talk in class, but I think it's really powerful to write things down over and over. And that's a good one. I personally haven't really dove into that, but I need to. When I think about it, I can feel how potent that is. So I think writing things down repetitively and saying them in your mind and saying them out loud repetitively, it's all going to feed into manifesting the life of your desire, because I mean, it's all about how much effort you want to put into this. How do you want to meditate for 5 minutes a day, or do you want to meditate for an hour a day? You want to write this down 5 times in a row, or you want to write it down 50 times in a row. And so the more you do it, the more you program your subconscious mind. So yeah, so writing things down, definitely. It's all about Thoth, the god of writing.
Yeah, one of our clients would write his income target goals in like the top corner of every page of the book he was reading. And in the time working with us, he like 3x'd his income, which is phenomenal.
That's amazing. See? I mean, geez, you guys are inspiring me right now. I'm like, all right, I need to start writing things repetitively. I dabbled with it a little bit in Sweden. over the over Christmas holiday, I was doing like a lot of journaling and sort of like internal work on what I was going to do this year. And just, man, I was just writing things down very lightly, and I really feel it just like harnessing this like conscious energy of what I want. And, you know, what I have to say, one reason I really like this book, Think and Grow Rich, is it's really moral and ethical. And I just want to, I mean, I think you guys, I don't have to like convince you that you can have whatever you want. And especially if your goal is to like help people out, if your goal is to be honest and ethical and moral, then it's gonna be that much easier to manifest your desires. God and the angels really appreciate when you want to help out. And I think God and the angels are also super aware that we live in the matrix with banking systems and cash, and that's how we trade energy. So, you know, for a while, I actually had hangups on like teaching breathwork and lucid dreaming for money. I thought it was like really weird. Like, oh, I don't want to be a spiritual teacher who charges money. So I had to like reconfigure my brain to realize like, oh, it's all good. If everybody's happy, it's all good. And you can't ever cheat or lie and get away with it. So if you like, if the more you just like want to do good for everyone, it just comes in quicker. And so you know, ask. My point is, ask for a lot of money. Don't be shy. And Napoleon Hill was really adamant about that. He's like, people who ask for a little bit of money, get it. People who ask for a lot of money, get it. Because I've found in life, whatever you want, if you really want it and you repeatedly think about it, you're going to get it eventually. It just depends on how big your goal is, you know, and where you're at right now. But I also feel like with repetition, I feel like your imagination can passively show you the answers. So you don't have to struggle and figuring out like what you need to do. So basically, like when you program your subconscious mind will show you in a visual image what you need to do to achieve your goal, one step at a time. And planning and organization is also really, really important. So, you know, this is just one aspect of Napoleon Hill's 12 steps to getting your desires. And I've actually made a Cliff Notes version of this book. I really should type it out and upload it, and I'll hopefully do that in the next month or so, because this book is filled with stories, but I've like condensed this book to just like a beautiful outline that just gives you the techniques. And this book is like super logical. It's not woo-woo. It's like straight to the point. So hopefully I'll be sharing that with you guys for free, because it'd be my pleasure to like get this out to people in a nice fashion. So, yeah.
So I was going to say, I have a question. You mentioned in the middle of the night when you say these things for 30 minutes or an hour or whatever, to say it with a lot of emotion. What are some ideas that you have for saying it or feeling it with a lot of emotion?
Visualizing yourself receiving it, and use your imagination to feel how good it would feel to have your desire. But again, if you're having issues with feeling, that's when breathwork comes into play, because there's a reason when people do a lot of rebirthing or a lot of breathwork, they feel so emotional. So it's during those emotional moments, during or after breathwork, that you can start thinking about what you want. But doing a ton of breathwork, just in general, you permanently become more emotional. So you can do breathwork and then visualize what you want, or you can just do breathwork in general and you'll just permanently become more emotional. So you can use breathwork temporarily, or you can use it as a more long-term thing, or both.
Is there any guidance on like how long? For example, I used to do this thing that Tony Robbins has on YouTube. It's about a 15-minute like meditation, and he has you do this breath work for, I think actually the entire time is really a breath work. And then he has you think about certain things, but in the middle of you thinking about it, you do like, you know, that one. And then you're still thinking, and then you sit in silence. And then when you're thinking about the next one, he has you like do that again, and then he has you rest. So are you talking about something like that where it's woven into while you're doing the visualization and the...
I've done it that way. I've absolutely done breath work, just sitting very still, breathing deep, and while I'm breathing deep, visualizing what I want. But that's such a good question, because here's from my experience. I find it very difficult to breathe while visualizing, while doing autosuggestion simultaneously. That's hard. I've tried and I do it, but if that's too difficult, then what you could do is just do breath work for like maybe 20 minutes and then start visualizing at the end. So you could, it's whatever you're comfortable with. And I've also found that, like, I don't think, I mean, when you're doing breath work, you got to think of something. Like, you're going to be thinking of something, even if it's unconscious. So you might as well do your best to focus your mind while you're breathing. You'll find that if you, for example, if you do deep breathing for 20 minutes while focusing on the life of your desire, when you stop breathing deep and you let your breath be automatic, you're going to find it really easy to concentrate. I mean, it becomes like effortless. You're like, whoa, like I'm just like focused, you know, it's really cool. You become like, after a breathwork session, you become like laser focused. And that's when you want to like really think about what, or, you know, repeat and visualize yourself having the life of your desire. So do what you're comfortable with, you know, and play with it. Don't be scared to play with your breath, and don't be scared to play with your imagination. And you'll just start learning with these techniques that I've given you today. We're just tapping into natural law. You know, I do my best not to speak dogmatically. I do my best to give people techniques that they can try themselves and see the results for themselves. So yeah, we're just, so try both, you know, I would do both. But I also, you know, you can movement while breathing is fine. That's very, you know, Kundalini yoga-y. But I also think it's like really potent to take control of your body and mind by not moving and just breathing. There's something really profound in not moving. In fact, I'll go as far as saying that when you breathe deep without moving, it's potentially more powerful, because when you move, you're leaking energy out of those parts of your body. That's why when I have people do breath work, I remember I had a client, or sorry, a breather at Lucidity, and in the middle of breath work, he was like stretching in the middle of breathing. He was doing upward dog, downward dog, and I came up to him and I said, "You want to go deeper? Just lay still." And he was like, "Okay." So he lay down and started breathing deep, and then he like met green Tara. He like had a psychedelic trip, and he told me afterwards, he's like, "Dude, when you told me to be still, that's when my mind really got blown." And I was like, "Cool, man." That was dope. So, you know, but again, you can, I mean, there's nothing wrong with moving. I like to actually move a little bit before I breathe. Sometimes movement's important, you know, it's part of yoga. But find, you know, play with it, like do a little movement while you breathe, and then don't do movement while you breathe. See how that feels. Just like test the waters yourself, and you know, try it out. Yeah, that's a good question though. I love Tony Robbins. He's funny.